things you have to look for, kind of the warning signs for a redshirt freshman making his first start in a SEC environment like this?
I think Cutter's, he's experienced it, which has been good from the standpoint of already having a couple of starts under his belt. Again, we're just focused on one play at a time, trying to make him as prepared as can be. Certainly the bye week has helped from knowing the plan standpoint, but he's going to have to go in there and just play like he plays. He's played a lot of football and go in there confidently.
Obviously, the noise is a big thing, but is there anything operationally where you want to get the plays in quicker so that they can have more time to make sure that everybody's where they need to be before the snap?
I think every game in that sense, you want to get the plays in as fast as you can, not only to allow them to process it, but think about what they have to get done. Certainly from the standpoint of the movement, the shifts, the motions, limiting some of those things early on is going to be critical.
When you have a young guy like Cutter and he's going in a road environment like that, does he have the full playbook available, or do you kind of limit his options, I guess, on what he's able to do and kind of simplify?
Yeah, I think it's the full playbook. Again, even in this situation, Cutter and I have been together now for more time than maybe anybody, you know what I mean? So we got a lot of comfort in that regard. The simplicity, again, will be more about the road game atmosphere at night. We know how loud it's going to be, so more of that thought.
What sort of challenges does that front present your guys in the trenches?
A lot. I think 6 and 46 are as good as two edge guys in the league. I think everybody knows that. We've got to do a great job of not putting our edge guys in bad spots. There's a certain level of physicality we got to play with. We got to know where those guys are on the field and try to stay out of long passing situations as much as possible.
Let's talk a lot about those tight ends and how you guys are using them, but why do you think they've been so much more involved this year than maybe they were last year in the passing game? Is there a reason, or is it just the way it's working out?
I think from an identity standpoint, we've got a better feeling. Again, I've talked about this from the standpoint of being with Wolf for another year, and from a run game standpoint and the sets we want to play out of and the run schemes we want to. So there's always a transition, I think, there. But I also think, when you look at Josh and you look at Willie, they're two of the more dependable guys we have on our team from a standpoint of when practice is done, they're always in there getting extra work, making sure they know what they got to get done, whether it's called out of 11 personnel, 12 personnel. So I think it's a reliability factor, and I think it matches what our identity is offensively.
They played in a limited possession game a week ago. I think it was only 11 total. Is there something you can glean from that game and what you'll have to do to maximize your possessions against South Carolina?
Certainly, Missouri did a lot of really good things. I think their commitment to the run game later in the game is kind of what propelled that victory. But I think in this league we know, it's going to be every possession is critical, as you guys know. And I don't think we're getting up in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s very much, even when we're playing tempo-style teams. So I don't think it's much of a difference in that regard. Every possession is going to be important. Playing clean football, eliminating negatives, that's going to be the focus here as we get going.
As well as Cutter threw the ball last game downfield, how vital is it with the run game to shorten the game, basically, to grind it on the road against a team like South Carolina, which can hurt you with their quarterback?
Again, I don't know if it's necessarily a Cutter thing. I just think it's in this conference how important that is, and I think you got to run the football to win. I think that's extremely important. You got to control the clock, if you will, and provide long drives to keep the defense off the field. And I think we're seeing that conference-wide, just how important that is. So whether it's Cutter and young guy making a first start or it's a fourth-year guy, you got to run the rock, and I think we know that.
Marcus talked a lot about Cutter's ability to make something out of broken plays. How can he build on that and kind of improve that skill set?
Continue to do it. I think, again, we see it all over our league. You see it all over the NFL. Certain quarterbacks have that knack when things aren't there to create yards. There was one particular in the red zone that last game. We tried to take a red zone shot. It wasn't there. He escaped to the left and ended up getting us, I think, all the way down to the 2 or 3 yard line. So it's the coordinator's best friend. When a guy can make those kind of plays, push up in the pocket is generally where it starts. And doing that's what a lot of these quarterbacks are really separating themselves from football these days.
Is that feel, for the lack of a better term, is that innate or is that something coachable?
I think there's an instinctual thing to it, as you guys know, and it's how many reps guys have taken. Again, I go back to this thing of climbing in the pocket and the importance. Sometimes we think of big plays like escaping, but it normally starts with getting up in there. But quarterback's decision making on the move, again, I think is a critical thing that a lot of guys either have or don't have.
Back to the tight ends, how important have they been in the run game? The run?
Yeah, they've been critical, and we've got to look for ways to not wear them out, if you will, and keep those two as well as Boyer healthy, because in that personnel group we've had success, but they've been critical again. I mean, they're physical inline guys that are athletic enough down the field. Tight end who has the ability to do both is as valuable to an offense as anybody, and certainly here at Kentucky.
How important is it to get off to a fast start on the road in your first true road game of the entire season?
You tell me. So really critical. I mean, it's going to be all those things, and you never point to one thing, whether it's starting fast, whether it's limiting negative plays, turnovers, right? But you got to be tight in this league, as we know, in every facet. Our guys practicing with that kind of urgency. We got to play clean, sound football, so the focus is ultimately on everything.
How do you feel about your depth at quarterback now with Zach apparently still limited?
I've said it before, I'll say it again. I mean, Bo goes out there and does a lot of really good things today, and so we're fortunate to have Bo, who's played in big games and from an instinctual standpoint has a lot of really good instincts. And so, again, I don't know how many teams are out there feeling great about their quarterback depth, but it's another thing to think about for sure.
Did you get Brennan and Stone more reps during the bye week?
Yeah, we did. We were able to get each of those guys about 25, 30, as live reps as we could take, which is critical. Just for them to actually be running your plays, whether they're figuring it, ready to go. I don't know if we're there yet.
What did, it wasn't a ton of reps, but what did Jason Patterson show you with Dante kind of dealing with his thigh bruise?
Yeah, I don't think he's one of those guys that the moment is too big for him. Like he got in there and played well and played physical, which is what he's always really done since he's been here. And so my hats are off to Jason. I said he's one of those guys who just eliminated the outside noise. We brought in two transfers that had played a lot. He stayed focused. He went to work, and can't tell him when his time's going to come, but he's certainly put himself in position to have success because of how hard he's worked.
So one of your tight ends, I think it was Josh, described Cutter, I know the roommates, as kind of a surfer dude, happy up, even described him as kind of a golden retriever type of guy. I don't expect you to embrace that, but how does that, or has that factored into the way he has approached his job and being a leader? I mean, just that personality.
Yeah, we'll see. I think, again, we talk about Jason Patterson. Cutter's another guy that I am appreciative to, because in his circumstance, he went about it and he's prepared like he is the starter, and I think from a leadership standpoint at the quarterback position, it always starts with your production and your play first, and so you got to go play good football. The guys around you understand that and know you'll play good ball. Then they're willing to listen, and so I think for him, the focus hasn't been on trying to do too much from a leadership standpoint. The focus is on execution, getting better, doing what he's got to do, and with that, I think the leadership will come.
Bush, you mentioned coming out of camp, obviously you didn't think you'd find maybe a lead guy yet at receiver. In your experience, is it common to find one over the course of the season, or is it kind of like, this is what we have, we've got to roll with it?
Yeah, I think you generally know beforehand, what I mean, of just what that situation might look like. But I'm excited about this group. I think those guys can go and play hard. It's going to be a blue-collar mentality, go make plays. I think this game's going to be an opportunity where they're going to have a chance to go make plays. And I'm proud of that group and how they've responded.
to go on the road, a night environment in the SEC, and you're starting. How are you feeling heading into this week?
Yes, ma'am. I think it was. We've had a good week of preparation on the bye week. I think we're going to a good week of preparation here. Feeling really good about the game plan, kind of getting a jump on everything.
How much do you have to do extra to prepare for just the noise, the atmosphere, hearing just what Bush is saying to you in your helmet, and communicating that to your team?
Yeah, for sure. We obviously try to simulate that out here in practice. We're blaring music and stuff all day long during every single rep. So really just working on that communication piece of the O-line, the wideouts, and the running back, making sure everything gets communicated, make sure everybody's where they need to be. But no, I think with the music, we're doing a really good job simulating that.
Josh called you a golden retriever, right? So
I saw that. That was funny. But, I mean, the hair I think the hair kind of pushes it to that, too. It's just like hair golden retriever, too. I need to get a cut if anybody knows a good barber around here.
What sort of challenges does the South Carolina defense just present on tape?
Yeah, they've got a lot of good dudes all over the field. They got a lot of athletes, but those two edge defenders are really good players. They got a lot of good dudes in the back end too. But overall they're a really good squad. But I think we're putting together a really good plan.
Is there something to being able to feel that rush and kind of know where their guys are without putting your head down and looking right at them?
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely something to keeping your eyes downfield while also being able to maneuver the pocket and feel things. I think that just comes with reps, just feeling certain guys coming off the edge where I get pressure from and if I'm able to step up or not and make a throw. But, I try to keep my eyes downfield and always step up and make plays. I think I'm going to have a lot of opportunities to do that this week.
I'm sure you like to go downfield. That's probably more fun for a quarterback. But how much do you try to rely on your run game and try to milk the clock a little bit in games like these?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, every quarterback loves throwing downfield, but what's going to be big for us in this game is just getting completions and moving the ball, staying in a flow, getting in a rhythm, But like I said, I think these past 2 weeks, I think we've gotten really comfortable with our plan, and we've started this week out really well.
We've talked to you before about the experience and the value that you got going on the road and playing at Texas and making plays. But this is different, isn't it, going in as a starter? How do you, I know you prepared like a starter last year, but how different is it knowing you're going to be the starter on the road?
I wouldn't say much different. I try to keep everything the same. I try to keep the game plan the same. My focus is all on the same things. We're going to have a little adjustment with the crowd noise piece of it, but I think we're simulating that well. All the guys are communicating well, but, just preparing like I do every week.
Cutter, we talk so much about those tight ends and what they've done. What's your theory as to why they've been so involved and so productive so much?
I think there's just been a lot of good. Coach Hamdan's done a really good job getting them involved, and I think the ball's just kind of found them this year so far, and it just kind of came their way. They've been the read on a lot of plays, and we're going to continue to do so. We're going to continue to find the tight ends and use them a lot. That's something we got a lot of good tight ends in that room that are able to do a lot of things, and some pretty athletic guys with some really good hands. So, yeah.
One position where there's a lot of continuity from last year.
Yeah, for sure.
Tight ends and Bush. How much does that help?
I think a ton, because we talk about Josh all the time being that extra leader, extra captain on the field. He always knows what's going on. He's getting other people set up. He's helping around with everything. So just able to, like you said, him being in his second year with the offense, Willie being in his second year with the offense, there's just a rhythm to that, and there's them getting lined up, being smooth, and kind of being captains out there on the field. But there's a lot of flow and a lot of continuity between me and the tight ends for sure.
I've heard some fans say, well, he's looking for his roommates. Not that that's a bad thing, but has it just been a coincidence?
Yeah, it has just been a coincidence. Like I've said all year, we got dudes all over the field. When I line up, I ain't worried about who's out there, who we got out there, because I know everybody can make a play. Everybody's got their strengths and weaknesses, but all across the field, we got dudes that can make plays. And like I said, the ball's just kind of found the tight ends naturally. But
do they thank you when you get home?
A little bit, yeah. Thanks a little bit, but for sure.
Do you have to be conscious of how long you have your eyes downfield against a defense like this, or do you just say, this is how I play?
It's kind of in all football, there's a shot clock. You can't stand back there and wait forever to throw something downfield and force something if it's not there. Those are kind of in that internal shot clock I have. My feet start to talk to me, or you just kind of feel pressure too. But that's just kind of a feel thing, just moving around the pocket and finding guys and knowing when to hit the check downs and when not to.
What have the last couple weeks been like for you? You get a start, you go out, you throw a couple touchdowns. People are very excited about having a Kentucky guy playing at quarterback. Just, I'm sure social media is blowing up, all that good stuff.
No, it's been exciting. This has kind of been something I've been waiting for my whole life, and I just got to do the best job I can to take this opportunity and run with it. But yeah, just trying to do the most of the opportunities I get and do the best I can with Coach Hamdan's plan and offense.
Were there any particular things that you noticed from the O-line during that Eastern Michigan game that gives you confidence stepping into this road game?
Yeah, they give me a ton of confidence. I tell those guys nonstop to keep talking to me, just keep talking to me, whatever it is, whatever you think, whatever you feel out there. I don't care if it's the littlest thing in the world. Come to me and talk to me about it, I'm just trying to get on the same page, all that chemistry together. I think that's been a big thing for us on our offense overall, is just talking. Communicating everything. What are you feeling? What are you seeing? How do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? Just everything. How it's looking when it's out there. But I think we've done a really good job communicating within the offensive unit and just on everything, really.
Those guys came in having played the transfers, played a lot of football. I've got to think that that's factored into that, the ability to communicate properly.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys like Braun and Wooley and Pete, those guys that came in, I've done a really good job stepping up and talking a lot. Jagger and the farm are really vocal on the field. But yeah, those transfers have done a really good job stepping up and feeling like they can be vocal. And I've been adamant about them, like I said, just talking to me. Like, what do you see? What do you feel? Whatever. It could be the littlest thing in the world. Just I want them talking to me at all times, for sure.
Some of Seth McGowan's film from his previous schools, he's caught passes out of the backfield.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something we could see you guys working and doing in the future?
Yeah, he's got a lot of things that he can do really well, and that's one of them. So yeah, whenever his number's called, I want to play. He's going to go out there and give it his all. I know that. So that's a guy you can for sure give chances to.
Couple more.
Are you a routine kind of guy when it comes to, you spoke about, preparing each week like the starter, but on game day, how do you get into it?
No, if you're asking if I have any I don't know, what do you call them when a batter or something's got
Rituals?
a knack? Yeah, a ritual. I don't really have anything. I don't really believe in that. There's been things I've done in the past, the same every single time, but it's not gonna be able to be the same every single time where you're at. So I don't really believe in that. I'm gonna wake up. I'm not gonna let that be on my mind. Oh, I didn't get to do this, so that's gonna affect. I don't even want to be thinking about that. I'm just gonna go out there. I'm gonna wake up. I'm gonna go through the schedule, and I'm gonna be really confident in the plan. That's really the only thing. Maybe going through my call sheet and stuff like that. But yeah.
Very good.
Beamer Ball has the mantra for a reason, but what is it about that special teams unit when you're scouting them, particularly in the return game, that makes them successful?
Are we talking Beamer Ball, from his dad's name?
No. Well, but it kind of follows him around. But Swain has 3 return touchdowns already?
Yes, Swain does have three return touchdowns. South Carolina does a tremendous job. Obviously on special teams, having a special teams coordinator as their coach, their head coach. Anytime you see or face a program, whether it's in college or the NFL, all bets are off. Anything can happen in a special teams game because they're calling the shots. He doesn't have to answer to Mark Stoops or whoever. He answers to himself. So whatever they run, it's on them. You know what I mean? So I always love the challenges that we face every time, I go against someone like that. Because I know they're going to be buttoned up in every area.
It means just a week because of just how good they've been. Punt return, you need to emphasize in practice more than you would. And not that you don't emphasize, but just more this week than maybe some others.
No, I think we emphasize it pretty much the same every week. We're doing the same things we always do in terms of what we're looking at and how we're preparing for each opponent. You don't ever think I'm going into this game this team is better at this, so let me do less work. You know what I mean? That's not how you look at it. You prepare them for everything. You don't know when something's going to happen, so you want to be buttoned up in every area that you can, and hopefully if they do something that you haven't prepared for, that your scheme is going to hold up.
Obviously, there are 10 other guys out there doing their assignments, but what about Swain makes him so good as a punt returner, and from what you've seen? Yeah,
he's scoring touchdowns. That's the end of the day, man. When you're putting the ball in the end zone, man, that sets the tone. So obviously he's got everyone in our conference's attention that plays those guys, and he certainly has mine.
he returns it well, but also they'll get after you and try to be aggressive and block it. So how do you balance that sort of tactical part of it?
Yeah, again, when you're punting the ball, the first thing you got to do is protect. I'm a former lineman, so I worry about protecting the punter first and foremost, and then the coverage aspect once the ball is punted, making sure we're getting down the field with speed and covering our lanes and not trailing another guy. That type of stuff is important as well. But their return game is set up by their block game. So when you're sitting in there protecting, those guys are able to grab you pretty good and get a hold to you at the line of scrimmage, and you got to do a good job of getting loose, because a lot of times they'll go extreme and double across the line and single up on the backside and give that guy a lane. So that's really a challenge. Obviously, you got to get some guys on that side to beat a double team, and that's where guys like Max last year, he came up big for us. You try to double team Max, okay, we'll take care of that. So that's what you need. You need players to step up.
Not that I'm asking you to divulge game plan stuff, but it's something too where you're so Aiden, just kick it out of bounds as far as you can, just so we don't have to worry about the return part. Don't even put it. Give them a chance to return it.
That's easier said than done.
Yeah.
Especially when you're trying to get the ball out on the rush, or you're playing a field position game. You get into a field position game, man. One of the things Aiden does best is kick it far. So it'd be nice to say I'm gonna put it out of bounds until he shanks one and it goes 15 yards, and now all of a sudden the head coach is down there looking at me like, what the heck are you doing, Boulware? I mean, the redhead, man, I mean, he'll get after me now if I do something like that. So, man, I got to be real careful about what I'm picking and choosing. But certainly that's something that you can look into doing if the situation arises.
We saw Jacob Cowie test his leg for the first time, and I mean, it looked like a smooth 7-iron on that 51-yarder, but is there, this will be his first road game, so you probably don't have to say much, but what does that add more pressure? I'm just curious from a coaching standpoint, do you have to say anything before he goes on the road for the first time?
Everybody has different journeys when it comes to playing this game. When you've been on that field on the grass, man, and you go out there, one thing that you learn over time, and I don't know how he is right now in his headspace, I'm not him, but one thing you learn, man, is when the ball is rolled out there on the grass, it doesn't matter whether you're here or there or somewhere in between, man, it's football. And so you just do what you do. You do what you've been trained to do, and I'm hoping that happens for all of our kids on the special teams and my running backs and really the entire football team, because that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the entire football team to have success.
We've heard so much about his leg strength. How comfortable, how far out are you comfortable with him going in there and kicking it?
It depends on the weather, obviously.
Yeah.
In each if there's wind, rain or whatever.
And even have stadiums constructed. Some stadiums have a little bit more open air.
Well, again, that goes along with the wind, right?
Yeah.
So you're always testing. I'm always testing that all the time. But I'd say he's good. We feel comfortable with him hitting a 60-yard field goal, and he's got more room than that. That 51-yarder that you're talking about, it was on the upper goalpost. Yeah. It wasn't like, it just barely cleared it. It had a pretty good chunk of yardage left, and that's what that kid is. So we'll be judicious about when and where we use him, because he's just young, but he's got more to him than what we've done so far.
It feels like every week there's a new kicker who's kicking at 60 yards or something like that. How far can they kick it? And why do you think that they're getting so much more distance, not only at this level, but even at the next level? What's behind all that?
Well, the next level has always been tremendous.
Right.
As you well know. Go back to Grammatica and guys of that nature back in the day. I think overall the kicking position, I think those guys have gotten bigger, stronger. Just like a lot of other players in a lot of different areas on football teams. And so it's not abnormal, especially in the SEC, to find guys with big legs like that, because they're not as hard to find as they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? There's several kids, that have the ability to put the ball out the back of the end zone or kick a 50-plus yard field goal. Where before that used to be like, oh man, 50-something yarder. Well, now it's, oh man, 60-something yarder. So, I think that thing will continue to improve. But, what did somebody hit a 70-yarder the other day or whatever, something crazy like that. But those guys are bigger. They're stronger, and they got more ability now than they used to, and they practice a lot longer than they used to. I think, the training over the years from, the guys, the gurus that do all these different camps everywhere, whether it's Jamie Cole, Chris Saylor, guys that I've dealt with in the past. They're bringing these guys up and having all these camps, and these guys are developing more so than they did in the past.
So how are things going? Pretty good?
Yeah.
Excited to go on the road? I know that part of the reason coming here is to play in these big environments against guys who are expected to play in the NFL someday.
Yeah, huge opportunity for us. I can't wait to experience SEC arenas apart from ours.
Mm-hmm.
So looking forward to that.
What sort of challenges do you have to, will you just be facing going up this weekend, particularly in pass protection?
Well, making sure that I'm leaning into my fundamentals, not doing more than I'm asked, not trusting myself.
Is there anything fundamental that, maybe you weren't aware of previously that Coach Wolf has really got you honing in on?
Well, depth for sure. I mean, it's easy to get technical, but more importantly, just making sure you're consistent with how you move, how you step, how you take the field, how you take the ball, stuff like that.
When you watch I mentioned Stewart earlier. He's supposed to be an NFL guy. He's a 5-star guy. Is that what makes that challenge so difficult? Why do you, when you see on tape, you're like, oh, okay, I can see why people think this guy's pretty good?
I mean, yeah, their whole front sevens, they're strong opponents, well coached. Dylan Stewart, solid guy. It's kind of like what Woolley said. You're gonna just trust your fundamentals, regardless of who you line up across.
I know you weren't here last year, but they got after them up front. It was 5 sacks, 11 tackles for losses. I know you don't want to use the pass as motivation, but is there any extra on the offensive line to right the wrongs from a year ago?
Any motivation? I mean, it's a huge opportunity to prove yourself, to see what you're made of, given their track record or whatnot.
What how do you think you've played just thus far? And where's your room that you want to grow?
I want to grow. Consistency in my technique. That's for one. Overall, though, it's still early, so I got time to make improvements. The best way to get better is by playing in these game reps. So looking forward to that.
How does the communication change when you're there versus on the road, away from home?
The communication.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, just today we were working, a silent cadence because of the atmosphere of South Carolina. That's about what changed. We're more direct, more urgent.
Is a lot of that already between you and Josh? Is that already kind of nonverbal to a degree?
I mean, sometimes we'll give each other a nod or whatnot of what to do, but most importantly, it's important to open your mouth and speak up, communicate.
Coach mentioned playing well around Cutter, and sorry if you kind of answered this.
That's fine.
But what does that entail going into this week against South Carolina?
Playing well against Cutter?
Around Cutter, sorry, yeah.
That's fine. The guy's got a good shot. He's young, he's got a bright future. I look forward to blocking for him. That's about it.
How do you feel like you've done so far? What kind of grade would you give yourself first 2 or 3 games?
I feel like it's more to improve. I can be quicker, stronger, faster. But what I was telling, what's your name again? Nick.
Yeah.
Nick Roosh. Yes. Yeah. It's the sunglasses,
Yeah. They don't make me look so ugly. Yeah.
What I was telling Nick was that I'd like to be more consistent in my footwork.
How much are you looking forward to this road game from what you've heard about the SEC?
Well, I heard that South Carolina is a good atmosphere. Nick has to cover up his ears, literally, while in the stands. It's impressive.
I'm looking forward to it. I heard it's a good atmosphere, good environment. Yeah.
A lot of silent count stuff, at least at one end of the stadium. Does that concern you at all?
Silent count stuff? No, it's stuff we're working on now.
Right.
Yeah.
How exciting is it whenever things do come together, especially like in a run play, and then you just see Seth or Dante, 10, 15 yards downfield?
It's good. It means I'm doing my job correctly. It's always a good feeling to take grass, take yards. Seth, Dante, those guys tow our offense. So, yeah, it's what I'm doing. I mean, it's what I live for.
You obviously saw Seth, a year ago, right? Playing together. How have you seen him grow as a player?
How have I seen him grow? He's still, fast as ever. He's a good man. He cherishes each day. I can tell. He's not taking a day for granted. He's living each day to the fullest, from what I can tell.
So, how's things going so far? How would you assess the first 3 games for you?
I think good. I think after each game, there's things to break down, things you can work on, and going into each game, it's a different opponent, so things to work on going in each week.
What do you think you've just learned? Like the learning curve's been like? I'm sure you definitely played up to power conference competition in the past, but on a week-by-week basis, what have you kind of learned from the first 3 games so far?
I think just focusing on your technique, going against like Ole Miss and stuff, you can't have any of those like tendencies and weaknesses, you got to be real technique sound, and just the speed of the game picks up a bit more, so you just got to be in tune with that and be ready. So.
What have you seen from their big guys up front on tape so far?
Well, they're good players, they're hard workers, good players, they deserve to be in the SEC, and so we got our work cut out, but I trust our O-line to get the work done, and we got practice, and that's, working on our technique to get ready. So.
Stewart's got that 5-star NFL pedigree. Is that something that kind of gets you fired up to be able to go up against a guy like that?
It'll be cool. You block him, you're showing you can do it. He's a potential NFL player, and if you can block him, it shows you can play in the NFL as well. So that's kind of been our mindset. Show that we can keep up with it, we can dominate, and just day in day out work on the technique to get it done on Saturday. So.
When you're going up against a elite kind of edge guy like that, what's going through your mind pre-snap? And what's even harder to deal with, like the speed, where they try to bend you, the length, the power? Where are the real challenges that you have to kind of hone in on those techniques, like you said?
I think it's just falling into your technique more so, not really worried about what they're going to do, but not getting out of your comfort zone, not overstepping or overreaching and putting you in a compromising position. It's just taking that deep breath and doing what you can do and just playing the game. So
Cutter made a couple, the protection's not always going to be perfect. He made a couple plays kind of ad-libbing. Does that give you a little bit of extra, confidence? I don't know if it's the right word, but...
Oh, yeah. Protection, like you said, protection might not always be perfect. And, seeing your quarterback make a play out of something that shouldn't have been a play gives you confidence that he's looking out for you. It's like the good line makes a bad running back look good, and a good running back makes a bad line. Now, I'm not saying neither of us are bad, but it's just working with each other, helping each other out when someone does get in a compromising position. Bailing them out by making a play. So.